Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. This is going to go through how to create the 1-6 constructions. Now, if you have not created or completed the 1-6 notes or the Pearson Realize assignments, I would do that first to become familiar with these terms so you know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So the video isn't going to go through the notes. The video is actually going to show you what you're going to do for your homework for this section. So do the notes first and then go ahead and watch this video. Now for your homework, you're going to need to turn in 4 constructions, and that's copying a segment, copying an angle, perpendicular bisector, and angle bisector. In this video, I'm going to do 2 of those for you, show you how to do 2 of them. The other 2, you'll have to use your notes, and if you need to, those Khan Academy videos to show you how to create those specific constructions. Those Khan Academy videos are great because they're actually going to show you the process as opposed to just the pictures and words as you have in the notes. So that would be my recommendation, is to watch those Khan Academy videos first. So we're going to start by just copying a segment. And when we say copy a segment, what we're saying is I want to create a segment that's the exact same length as another segment using only my construction tools. And remember, if we're doing a construction, all we're using is a compass and a straight edge, not a ruler, but a straight edge. So I'm not able to measure the length using a ruler. I've got to use my construction techniques. So if you're going to use the eMath toolbox here, what I'm going to use for your tutorial, when you want to use a straight edge, just select your pencil. Your pencil is only going to create straight lines, and so it's the equivalent of using a straight edge. If you want to do something where you're writing, labeling points, use the pen. That's where you can draw on your own. If you would prefer, if you don't want to use the toolbox at eMath, you can do these by hand at home if you have a compass and a straight edge. In that case, most likely you're going to use a ruler instead of just a normal straight edge. But remember, you can't use the markings on the ruler. You're just using it to draw straight lines. So when we're copying a segment, we want to start with some length, start with some amount of segment. And so just draw that on your own, however long you want it to be. I'm going to go about that large. I'm going to say, hey, I want to draw another segment that's exactly that same length. And that's where my construction comes into play. So in order to do this first construction, start by drawing some ray that's obviously longer than what you have there. So I'm going to do that in red. I'm going to draw an obviously longer ray down here. And I need to mark now. What I'm going to end up doing is marking on my red segment exactly the length of this black segment. And to do that, we use our compass. So if you're using your compass at home, you'll have to adjust it as I'm doing using the digital compass. They're very similar, they just look a little bit different. With the digital compass here, this white circle with the black X is like the pointer of a compass. So that's where we want to position on our first endpoint here of my original segment. Try and get as precise as you can right at that crosshairs. Now, in the digital compass, you have 2 additional buttons. This one on the right end here, that's like your pencil. That's the part that will draw. We're going to use this end button to adjust the length of my compass. So I want to go exactly the length of my original segment. Now this middle button here is what we're going to use to draw. So click and hold that and double check that you've got that the right length. Notice how that's right on the end of my original segment. Now here's what's important, whether you're doing this online or at home. We're going to move the compass, and we've got to move the compass without adjusting the size. So the nice thing about doing it online is it's a fairly easy process as long as you don't touch the wrong button. So don't click this right end, click the left end and move that white circle with the black X in it right onto the end segment of your other ray. I'm going to change the color again just so it's a little bit easier to see. Now again, don't adjust this length, but make a nice little mark where that length crosses your segment. And what we've just done here is we've said where this segment begins, and now at the intersection of the blue and the red is the exact same length as my original segment. So I'm just going to take my pen here, and bear with me, it's not going to be the prettiest. Put a little endpoint on the left and an endpoint on the right to show where that intersection is. And now this segment, and I could label it AB. Ooh, that's an ugly B. I'm using my mouse instead of my tablet. AB is the exact same length as this original segment up here. And that's our first construction. So if you're doing this online, at this point, before we erase anything, go ahead and either take a screenshot or a snipping tool to get a picture of that. If you're not sure how to do it, I use snipping tool, which is right here in my my bottom icons. If you don't have it there, if you click on the Start menu and search for Snipping Tool, you should be able to find it, and just take a nice big screenshot. And then save this and send me this picture. Now what's important is that you don't erase anything. Don't come through and try and erase anything that's extra. Leave those arcs in there. We're going to see this particularly in our next exercise. That's how I grade this. If you don't have those arcs, I don't know how you completed it. So leave everything in there as is. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next one, which is our angle bisector. So again, we need to start with an angle. And you can put your angle wherever you want, make it however big you want. Don't make it too narrow because it could get a little bit more challenging. And in any color, any of that is fine. So now my goal here is to make an angle bisector. Remember from the beginning of chapter 1 that a bisector cuts something in half, exactly half. So an angle bisector would take my angle and cut it into two congruent angles, cut it exactly in half. So once you have your angle drawn, go ahead and grab your compass again. And we want to start with our pointer right there on that vertex of the angle. And I'm going to switch to yellow. Now, adjust your compass to be, I'd say, between a third and halfway up your first ray. We don't want to go too big because then we might run out of page. So I'm going to go about a third of the way up and make an arc that intersects both the top and the bottom ray. Once you've done that, it's okay to move your compass. We don't need to keep it that length anymore. What we want to do is position our pointer right at the intersection of that arc and one of the rays. I'm going to start on the bottom. And now go ahead and reposition your compass. You want to be about to the end of those rays, somewhere in this area. It could go a little bit smaller, it could go a little bit bigger. I like to kind of position right in line with the end of that ray. And again, I'm going to change colors, and I'm just going to mark a nice little arc in between my two rays. Here's where it's important. Do not adjust the size of the arc. Once you pick up that pointer, position it down here on my other intersection of my ray and original arc. Do not adjust the size of this compass. If we adjust the size, we're going to have to start over. And go ahead and make your arc until you have an intersection between that first arc, or the second arc, and the third arc, the two green arcs. And notice we have a nice little intersection there. Now I'm done with my compass, and I'm going to go back to my straight edge, which again in this case is just my pencil. And what I've done is I've created 2 points that my bisector would go through. It's going to go through this point right here, where the intersection of my two green arcs are, and my vertex. So I can draw in that line by starting at my vertex and going all the way through that intersection. What I've created now, this black line, is my angle bisector. This angle from the top ray through the angle bisector is the exact same angle measure as the angle bisector through my bottom ray. And if you want to use your protractor to check, absolutely go ahead and do that. Again, don't erase any of these arcs, whether you're doing it on paper or in the toolbox. That's how I know how you did your work. Take a screenshot of this and include that in the email as well. So this is 2 of the 4 that I'm looking for. For your perpendicular bisector and copying of an angle, go ahead and use the notes, the Pearson Realized documents, and those Khan Academy videos. And again, you can do up to 3 additional constructions for extra credit. They have to be different constructions. You can't just do another one of these 4. But there are a lot of examples out there. There's extras that are listed on the Khan Academy website. You can Google them, anything you can come up with, and you'll be eligible for some extra credit there. If you have questions at all on this assignment, please don't hesitate to let me know. And good luck. Thanks, guys.